and welcome to episode 51 of The List Makers, a spin-off podcast from The Doctor Who Show. I'm Dave.
And I'm Rob.
Rob, are you excited for this one?
I am. I've been excited since you announced it at the end of the last episode.
Because, of course, our topic for tonight is Top 5 Davo Stories, as sent in by Neilers, a regular correspondent and listener. Thank you, Neilers. I'm looking forward to this one as well. Let's get stuck in, but Rob...
Yes, Dave?
We sometimes have a number of snaps. I'm going to say this is at one where it is not impossible.
Yeah.
We get 5.
Okay.
But I'm also going to mark here on my runners-up list a joker that if I miss one of yours, I'm going to claim the joker as well. Because I'm looking at it now, I think that's very likely that'll be in.
Okay.
But we'll see how much we match, and we'll have a chat about what that means afterwards. But first of all, we will make our lists. It's my turn to go first. At number 5.
Yes.
The Caves of Androzani. I did the first 4 based very much on instinct and gut and what I like, what are my favourite Davo stories. And then I realised The Caves of Androzani was not in there. I thought about the other things that I'd missed out, and none of them could beat The Caves of Androzani. I thought it would just be churlish to not have a list of Davo stories without The Caves of Androzani in there. Some may be shocked it's not at number 1. We'll see about that. But no, it is in there. Look, it is a very good Davo story. It's an amazing performance. He is acerbic. He's brutal. He's not unlike Peter Davison himself, really. But look, it's a great script. It's a great director piece of work, and the Doctor is just wonderful in it. So Caves of Androzani at number 5. At number 4, not just because I watched this last month, Rob, but I have gone with Kinder. This is a inventive story. It is a brilliantly cast story. It has 3 classic cliffhangers. It is interesting. It is the Davison era doing something different, and unfortunately that is perhaps a little bit too rare in the Davison era. That's something we may discuss. But number 4, Kinder, very happy with that choice. Number 3, in my view, a classic, perhaps the most exciting Davison adventure. It's one that has come and gone a bit in fan reputation, but I think he's doing quite well at the moment. That is Earthshock, the return of the Cybermen. Again, it's a brilliantly directed piece of Davison material. Davo is central to the story. It's got the TARDIS team actually working quite well for a change, before you get the classic 5th Doctor Tegan and Turlough dynamic, which I think is just exceptional. There's nothing to dislike about Earthshock. I just think it's an amazing adventure. It's the standout of its season. It's one of the standouts of the era. I just had to have it up there. I think a podium finish makes sense.
Very good.
Number 2, we're perhaps getting into a bit more personal taste with this one, because at number 2, I have gone with Frontios. I think this is a superbly made story in one of my favourite seasons of Doctor Who. In this one, the Davison Doctor, I think, is perhaps at his best. He is commanding, he is witty, he is vulnerable, he's interesting, he's all the things that I want the Doctor to be, that I think it really takes until Frontios for him to land. In amongst this, you've got a really clever idea, you've got a different sort of alien race, you've got some really cool technobabble, again, a really strong cast. At this point, J&T is casting very, very well. I think there's a lot to love about Frontios. It looks good, the music is fantastic, it's a great score, those panpipes, so many things I could go on about there. And of course, we have got that classic, in my mind, 5th Doctor Tegan and Turlough dynamic. Which sets up what probably won't be a surprise for you, Rob. At my number 1 is a story I often extol the virtues of. I've always said it's my favourite Davo story. Many, many people disagree. But it is Planet of Fire.
Yeah.
This is the peak of season 21 for me. This is a wonderful story with fantastic production values. It uses the Lanzarote location to both be Lanzarote, but then give us a properly scary and alien landscape, and then mixed in with all the footage of the volcanoes and everything, it really feels like you're in a properly dangerous alien world. I think that's fantastic. Davison, again, is at his season 21 commanding best. Turlough's fantastic in this. There's some real sense of trying to get a proper culture in terms of the costumes, and then you've got a script that does the whole chariots of the gods thing about aliens being gods, but does it in a very Doctor Who way. It does it in a very clever way. It comments on religion without taking away the dignity of those who have religion, which I think is something perhaps the new series could learn a bit about. But there is nothing in this that I would fault. I just think it's a fantastic story. It sums up the Davison era for me. Planet of Fire at number 1.
Nice. And yes, I would have guessed that one for sure. You talk about Planet of Fire almost as much as I talk about Kinder.
Yes, I would be shocked if Kinder is not on the list. But let's not spoil things, Rob. What's your list?
Well, I was going to say, we do have snaps. Do you want to know how many up ahead, or will I just rip into the list?
Let's rip in and just see how many there are.
Okay. In at number 5, Dave, I've got Spare Parts. And yes, it's a Big Finish audio, but it is so good, I think it transcends format. And to me, this is absolutely a Davison story. And I'm actually going to say this is Davo's finest performance not on screen, and probably one of his best, even including on-screen performances too. The story, if people don't know, it dives deep into the Cybermen's origin on Mondas, and it's just heartbreakingly bleak overall. I think you can really... I was going to say see, but it's really here the Fifth Doctor's compassion, his desperation, his powerlessness. He's a man who knows this is a doomed world. It's basically Genesis of the Daleks, but colder, sadder, and more human. And it proves Davison could have crushed it with material this strong on TV, I think.
Fair enough.
In at number 4, I've got The Five Doctors. And let's be real, this is less a Davo story and more a Doctor Who buffet, but it's his performance that holds the whole thing together. I mean, just watch it. He's got all these ghosts of Doctors past running around, and yet he still feels like the main character. And yes, I know it's fan service of the highest order. Yes, I know it's comfy slippers, but it's also just this really joyful, unashamed celebration of the show's legacy. And Davo brings to it the right level of, I've written down bemused exasperation to the chaos. Like he's a man who's been told to go to a serious business meeting and he's somehow ended up at a family reunion instead that's full of eccentrics and other nut jobs. You know, it's just great. So that's in at number 4. In at number 3, I've got Earthshock, aka the one where they kill Adric. And yes, they kill Adric, but they make it feel earned. And I think that's a big part of it. This is also just pure distilled 80s Doctor Who explosions, tight corridors, one of the most dramatic Cybermen reveals in the show's history, I think. And Davison's performance is razor sharp here. He's under pressure, he's making tough calls, he's feeling the weight of command. It's a story that takes itself seriously, and it pulls it off. It gives us one of the most devastating endings in classic Who. There's no quips, there's no jokes. It's just silence and the broken star on the screen. I think it's amazing, you know.
Yeah.
In at number 2, I've got Kinder. And we've already discussed it. Regular listeners will have known it was coming. Kinder is dreams within dreams. It's mirrors. It's a giant snake. And yeah, it looks a bit ropey, but this is bold, ambitious stuff. Despite the budget and the studio setting, Davo's in his element. He gives us a Doctor who's thoughtful, he's empathic, he's someone who listens and learns before leaping into action. It's one of the few stories that lets him be still. He's surrounded by madness, but he is still. And he emerges as the moral centre, I think. Plus, Tegan gets possessed by the Mara, and Janet Fielding turns in probably her best performance too. It's just glorious.
Number 1, Rob.
Number 1, Dave. It could only be Caves of Androzani. It is Davo's swan song if you've been living under a rock for the last 40 years, and what a swan song it is. He's brave, he's selfless, he's sarcastic. These are things you were touching on. He's completely out of his depth. Everything that makes the Fifth Doctor is here. There's vulnerability. There's his willingness to risk everything for someone he barely knows. The direction is cinematic. The pacing's relentless. Sharaz Jek is one of the creepiest, most tragic villains in the show's history. It's not just one of the best Davison stories, it's one of the best Doctor Who stories, despite the trendiness for a certain kind of Doctor Who fan to poo-poo it these days. It's great, it's unreal, I love it. The end.
There you go. Interesting. We have a bit to talk about there.
Yeah.
We have 3 outright snaps, but can you guess what I had down as my joker?
5 Doctors.
5 Doctors, yes.
Yeah.
I actually looked at my list and I thought, I'll do a bit about how we could have 5 snaps, and I've looked at it and gone, Rob's gonna have the 5 Doctors.
Yeah. Of course I am.
Yeah, and look, as I said, it wasn't just my Joker for purposes of snaps. I did have it very much as a runner-up. I couldn't quite get it on my list. I think partly because it doesn't really live in my mind as a Davo story. It lives in my mind as a special.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And look, there are people out there right now throwing stuff at their I was going to say their car radio or wherever they might be, and say, Rob, how is the Five Doctors better than Enlightenment? How is it better than Planet of Fire? Planet of Fire is bloody great. You're quite right on that, Dave. How is it better than Resurrection of the Daleks? It's not on the pure story level that I'm taking it. It's how it makes me feel, which I hope I got into my comments on it. As I said, a joyful, unashamed celebration. That's my notes on this. And I still feel that way when I watch it today as a 50-year-old man. Yeah,
no, absolutely. At the end of the day, these are our personal choices. The other runner-up that I was umming and ahhing about, and I didn't put it in because it was just too much. Like, I think this is fun and I enjoy it, rather than it really being good, and that's The Visitation.
Yeah, fair.
But interestingly enough, now, notwithstanding the fact that you did your usual thing, Rob, and did something a little bit different, a little bit unusual by putting in a Big Finish story.
Still a Davo story.
Still a Davo story. No, entirely fair. But between us, we've only picked 6 stories.
Yeah.
3 of which are from season 21, 2 from season 19, plus a special. I think that probably does confirm my view, and I think this is a view you share, Rob, that season 21 is the peak of Davison's era.
Yes, I think so. I've always said that, and we diverge on what's his second best, but what is his best? Yeah, I think we're in lockstep on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that run, I would say Frontios through to Caves of Androzani. Some people would add The Awakening as part of that run. That's a personal choice. But I think that is a very strong run of Davison's stories. But yes, we did have 2 from season 19. I think that they are 2 clear standouts from season 19, and what's around them other than The Visitation is not necessarily very good. But neither of us picked anything from season 20.
Yeah, what to unpack there. Start with Frontios. Frontios is an interesting one for me because as a kid, I kind of didn't get it.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought the Tractators looked a bit crap compared to what I'd been watching in Star Wars at the same age and all
yep.
of that.
Yep, I'll grant you both of those.
And it has continued on into adult life. And it's not like I don't like the Christopher Bidmead sciencey stuff, because I love Logopolis. I love Castrovalva.
Yeah.
There is just something about Frontios, and I think it started in childhood, where it's just a bit impenetrable to me. And we've done shows, Dave, where, shows we thought were crap in childhood but love as adults. I know it's possible to change, but I have not changed on Frontios. I still have I see what people see in it, but I still have this sort of wall up when it comes to watching Frontios. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe that aspect of how you come to something does matter, because Caves has never been quite the oh my god story for me that it is for a lot of fans of, dare I say, your generation and a bit older, who perhaps came to Caves as part of a run, whereas I came to Caves as sort of a standalone story that I finally was able to get a copy of after seeing a lot of the rest of the Davison era. So it felt like another Davison story, a very good one, but not a sort of a build-up and, oh my god, this is the finale.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so to get back to season 20, it's interesting. I think I sort of was umming and ahhing about Enlightenment. I couldn't justify it. I think that Enlightenment is very well produced, but I think it's not that engaging, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
Mordred Undead, I think, is a very clever script, but I couldn't put it amongst the 6 that we've got here, Rob.
No, and earlier I was name-checking Planet of Fire and Enlightenment as examples of stories people quite like. But if I lost something off this list, say I lost spare parts, say you said to me, Rob, you can't have an audio, ditch spare parts. Of Planet of Fire and Enlightenment, I would pick Planet of Fire every day and stick it in as my 5th pick. Enlightenment still isn't quite there, but it has an interesting story, and I like the ending, I like the direction, I think it's very clever. It has its place. But yeah, we are sort of honing down on those seasons that aren't season 20. That's very true.
Yeah. So it's interesting, and so let me put this to you, Rob, because I know this is your favourite Doctor and an era of the show that you like, and you know that it's one that I'm a bit sort of more blasé on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Davo era bats all that deep. And I didn't mean that to be a cricketing pun. That was genuinely...
It's nice.
genuinely by mistake. I think that the reason why I said this could be one where we get a lot of snaps is because I actually don't think that there are that many classics in this era. And the ones that we've identified, particularly the ones where we've doubled up on Earthshock, Kinder, Caves, are very, very much standouts. Then you've got a lot of very good stories. You've got your Frontioses, your Planets of Fire, your Five Doctors, and all the rest of it. But after that, some would say Enlightenment maybe. I think Visitation's fun. Resurrection's good, but it's flawed. And after that, there's not much there. I think this is an era of a few classics and a lot of ordinary stories. And my evidence is we've basically made very similar lists, even with our runners-up.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I mean, I've got a list of Davison stories sitting in front of me at the moment, and it's not a huge list to begin with. I think he only has, if I counted these, it's probably 20. Yeah. 20 or 21 stories, maybe. So to pick 6 out of 20, it's only 1 in every 3 stories, because there's not a lot of choice to begin with. So, yeah, once you start throwing in a few Duff stories, I can see very easily how we've done this. A story you didn't mention there, Dave, which I actually quite like, Black Orchid. I really like Black Orchid. I know a lot of people don't, and you're probably thinking of that as one of the more basic or crap stories, but
yeah, I don't rate any of his two-parters.
Yeah, whereas I see that 1920s setting and, what's going on at this house in the country, I see that as what the Davison era should have had more of, frankly. So, we come at this from not just different eras slightly in Doctor Who, but also different tastes as to what we like and what we'd like to see. I'd love to see the Fifth Doctor do anything in the 1920s, basically.
Yeah, whereas I just don't get excited by the Fifth Doctor. So if it's a run-of-the-mill story with, in my view, a run-of-the-mill Doctor, it doesn't elevate. But I guess you don't see him as a run-of-the-mill Doctor. You see him as your Doctor. So yeah. You're a lot more forgiving than I am, which is perfect sense.
Yeah, I really gel with his personality. I think it's fabulous.
Yeah, and I mean, you're right. This is the first short era after they stop making Doctor Who all year round, which is what happens in 1970, right, with season 7.
Yeah.
So they stop making Doctor Who all year round, so the seasons are shorter. But Pertwee goes for 5 years, Tom goes for 7 years, so you don't really notice there's fewer stories. But you're right, Davo only goes, well, he doesn't even make 3 years, technically. And they're all smaller seasons. And of course, by this stage, they're going out twice weekly, so he's only on 3 months of the year. So maybe I am not looking at it pro rata enough. Yeah,
it's a funny era to look at, isn't it? Because you just look at season 19, there's 7 stories there.
Yeah.
You look at Pertwee's first season, there's 4 stories.
Yes.
So it's like, how do you compare this stuff?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Look, it is interesting because, as I say, this is an era that we come at from very different angles from. It's a favourite of yours, it's a middling one for me. Yet, coming at them from different angles, we've had a very overlapping list.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear what listeners think too.
Yeah, so I think that when Davo and J&T were on song, they were really on song.
Yeah, definitely.
On that note, though, Rob, it's time to pull out our next one. Thank you to Neilers for sending that in. Always appreciate getting ones from our listeners.
Hello to everyone in Carrickfergus.
Absolutely. This one comes from Peter Field.
Mm-hmm.
Top 5 remakes of classic episodes with Disney budget with original cast.
Oh, is Disney budget still going to be a thing, Dave? That's topical.
Thank you for writing that in, Peter. Next month we will give it the list maker treatment. But until then, I've been Dave.
And I've been Rob.
And we'll make some more lists next month.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.